from the Wausau Curling Club. We have moved to the championship for both the boys and the girls teams. We started with 16 teams in each division, and it boils down to the boys game that we're going to be doing. Wausau East, a surprise championship team that was seeded 13th out of 16 to start, and the Marshfield Tigers, that's an all-senior team. Marshfield has never won the boys state curling championship. On the other rink, number 4 for the girls, the championship is Portage, which is a perennial winner, and they won the earlier TG competition here at the Wausau Curling Club, and they are taking on Spash, the defending champion from last year. So on one end, the girls, no surprises. On the other end, the boys, total surprise. And with me, Allie Cotton. And Allie, we're going to get started with this in the first.
Yep, so we're in the first end of the boys state championship game right now, and this is like a complete surprise. No one would have guessed it would have been Wausau East and Marshfield, but both of these teams want it so bad, so this should be a good fight. Let's see right now. Wausau East is throwing red, and Marshfield is throwing yellow rocks, and it looks like
Marshfield has a hammer.
Marshfield has a hammer for this first end, but Wausau East is sitting 1 and biting the 8-foot.
Okay, we're underway now for Marshfield. Their skip is Hunter Week. Their lead is Paul Fisher. Their second, Brantley Northrup. Their third, Logan Schmoll. And Hunter Week is their skip.
Yep, and this looks like they're trying to draw the button right now and out-count that E-stone, and they did do it, but they did not go as deep into the house as they would like. They are sitting in the middle of the 8-foot, which is fine, but it's wide open right now down the middle. So Wausau East third is going to try and remove that from play.
For East, their skip is Will Reike. Their lead is Ben Bloom. Second, Evan Nygum, and their third is Andy Geiger. And this is Andy.
And it looks like his line is going to come in okay. They're not sweeping it right now, so they must feel confident that it needs to curl or it's going to hit. And it looks like he's going to get a chip of this, but he might not stick his shooter. Nope, he blazed.
Nope, I went right through. Just by inches. So if we look at it now, the yellow stones are Marshfield. The red rocks are East, and Marshfield right now is sitting 1.
This is going to be a really close game. The Marshfield team is full of seniors, so they're definitely trying to take it all home. They've worked super hard. When you have a team that's all the same age, you've grown up curling together, at least through high school usually. So they're probably close-knit, and they want to go out in style. The Wausau East team is super young, and they just want to make their mark. And they're having a good time. They beat the defending state champions early in the tournament to end up here. And it looks like Marshfield right now is trying to plug up that port that Wausau East tried to take through.
And for Marshfield, this is Logan Schmoll, their third. And they get across the hog line and in play.
And it looks like they're going to do what they wanted to do. It's maybe not quite as tucked over, but that's providing full coverage. So that's a nice shot by Marshfield right now. We'll see what Wausau East is going to come back with. Both of these teams have had pretty big blowouts for a lot of these games, so it will be interesting to see when they get head-to-head in a tight game.
Yeah, the last game, Marshfield really took care of their opposition, and East over Lodi, the final was 10-5, so they were pretty much in control after that first end in that game.
So it looks like East is trying to draw into the middle right now, and they're coming from the outside edge, and they have all 3 players sweeping on it. It looks like it's probably going to come up short, but it's still going right now, but I'm not sure it will outcount. And 4 sweepers on it. And it fell a little bit short, but they definitely have put themselves in a good position. They're sitting in second and third count right now, but they don't have shot.
This is an interesting setup for the first end. Like sometimes in the first end it's takeouts, you know.
Yep, after watching both teams play throughout this tournament, they definitely have been sticking more towards draw teams. You're going to see Wausau East be more apprehensive to call crazy takeouts on the edge, and you're going to see Marshfield hanging in right them with putting stuff in the house and guarding it up. And they've gone one-on-one this season. They are in the same conference, so they've played each other twice. One time with East winning, one time with Marshfield winning. So this should be a good game. And
they never dreamt they'd meet.
Yeah, they never thought they'd have that tiebreaker, I don't think.
And especially in the championship.
Right now it looks like Marshfield's going to try and follow that East stone down, and they're sweeping.
They're going to get an extra point out of it. At least.
Yep, I think they definitely slid to second count. That was a great shot that their third made. Now East is going to try the take, I believe.
This is wide open yet.
Yep, there's not a lot covering. There's a couple things, one guard on the center line, but overall it's been pretty open compared to both of their other games. So
Andy Geiger is the vice skip. He's their third for East, so he's handling the broom directions for Will Reike, who's going to take the skip, who's taking his first throw now. Again, Marshfield has the hammer in end one.
the key for both of these teams right now is going to be to keep the ends small. They need to stay in, they're going to need to only let the other team take one, maybe two, but they need to avoid letting big ends go. It looks like Wausau East is going to tick off of their guard, which is probably not the worst thing in the world because it opens things up for them.
So for Marshfield now, they are lying one.
Nope, I think they have
two.
Two.
Two, yeah, that's one on, yeah, that's closer up in the upper right.
They're trying to figure out a way that they can guard their two but still leave a shot open for the hammer. So they're going to go put a guard in that port because they want to keep that shot rock for sure. By putting it up high, they can raise it later.
Hunter Week, their skipping along with the sweepers. Paul Fisher and Brantley Northrup.
They did a good job with that sweep call. They let it curl a lot, so that's good. And it looks like they're going to like where that's placed.
Nice job.
That's going to take away the raise that East could have done and make the takeout harder. Looks like East is debating. They're looking at their options. And it looks like Andy's down, trying to line up a take through that port. And I think that's what they're gonna decide to do. You can still see half of it from the other end, so you have pretty good odds of hitting it. But sticking the shooter will be difficult. And it looks like with that last guard that Marshfield threw, I believe East has second count right now. So if he was able to remove that stone half in the forefoot, he would have shot rock, I think.
So the options have been studied, decisions have been made.
And they are sweeping it hard.
They're going to have to sweep.
And they're letting
It
up
has
to
to
let
wait
it go.
now. This could be.
And he didn't quite get the tick he wanted.
Nope.
But that's okay because he has second count. So Marshfield has the hammer and not a whole lot of options. So realistically, he's not going to let too big of an end go. Marshfield looks like they have the potential for two. Marshfield's debating to see. They do have a lot of stones in play with 5 stones in the house, but East has, I believe, second and fourth count, which is going to limit their options because they can't get to both of those stones.
This is
And he's lining up. I think they're just going to sit on this one. They're just going to try and get a second point. And they're not sweeping it right now. And it looks like it's coming in hotter than they would have liked.
Yeah, I would say so too, but well, it might get through.
But it's definitely through the guard. But Wausau East is going to want to sweep that. And they're going to go hard.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was kind of a missed opportunity by Marshfield to only take one with the hammer. But they're going to chat about it. They might even measure because it's the championship. It's close.
You know, if you look at it from the monitor here.
Yeah.
And you look at it from
the club here.
The club above. It's
so
like
they're going to measure. That's a good decision.
Yep. Yep.
That's a good decision. Either way, Wausau East got out of that pretty harm-free. I would say they're going to have a harder time stealing against this Marshfield team than they've had with Lodi and in their other games today. And you see the third standing over looking at it. So this is a measuring stick. It goes from the middle, and then they're going to line it up, and it's got a little stick on it. And they're going to line it up with the edge of the red, and then they're going to swing it around.
And see where it fits with the yellow.
And see where it fits on the gauge with the yellow. And you see the thirds in the house doing it right now because they're the ones calling. So they're going to see where on the gauge it is when it hits the middle of the yellow, or I mean the red. And they're going to come here. And it's going to be red rock. So 1 yellow for this first end.
Okay, so it's 1 zip.
Yep.
After 1. And with Marshfield having the hammer, that's kind of can be expected. So it's a good first end. And we've been notified that Logan Schmoll is the skip. He's the third.
He's throwing third rock.
And fourth is Hunter Week. But Logan Schmoll, the third, is the skip. And that we've seen that before.
No, Hunter Week is the skip, but he's going to throw the third rocks.
Got it. So we got to switch those two around.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of time coaches will do that because some people have better strategy, but some people are better under those pressure situations. So they're all about, and you can mess with your order a little bit. That's a great way to have your best shooter throw last, but your best strategy person in the house.
This is Ben Bloom, the lead for East.
And it looks like Marshfield is going to try and just put up a nice center guard. They're going to try and take control of that control
That was
zone.
their first shot for Paul Fisher. East has the hammer now, so Bloom will be next for East. Now we got to make the correction on that now. Hunter Week is the skip, but he's throwing third, and Logan Schmoll is the fourth.
Nope, he's the third, but he's throwing for it, yeah. So it looks like Wausau East is trying to draw to the wings right now, kind of taking a page off of Lodi's playbook from that last game. And it looks like he's going to be successful in keeping that in the front house.
Okay.
That was a nice shot. I'm not sure why they didn't draw behind. They're changing up their strategy, and here's Marshfield with the take. They're going to try and take that out and preferably roll behind their center guard.
Okay, this is Paul Fisher.
And they hit it head on, so they didn't get any roll, but they did make good contact.
Just a replacement. Yep.
Okay, and Wausau East is going to, he's calling to sit on it. He wants to sit on that stone and freeze on it, maybe tap it back a little bit, but not take it out. And once again, he's going to do this with his lead stones because he thinks his lead will be more confident with a heavy draw weight. And they're letting it curl. They need it to come back in. And now they're sweeping hard.
Yeah. If it's on target, it is exactly what they wanted.
So not quite.
No,
He shot
no, but
he shot a little wide with his delivery. And it hung out a little bit, and that will happen when you're that far out on the edge of the sheet. So let's see how Marshfield comes back. That red stone for East, though, is in a good place that they can do something with it later.
okay, as we move along now.
And let's see. He wants the draw behind that center guard, so he's going to come from the inside out and hopefully draw behind. So he's essentially splitting the house within the 8-foot.
Brantley Northrup is their second.
And they need it to curl, but it looks like it's a little heavy. So this one's probably through. East won't have to sweep too hard.
No.
And once again, they can only sweep behind their opponent's zone behind the tee line.
And the tee line, if you look at the screen right now, is top to bottom. As it goes across the circle or house, side to side.
So now Wausau East is going to call the takeout for their second. That's predominantly what a second will do, is throw a takeout.
Evan Nygum.
So he's lined up.
His
And
first throw.
they jumped the sweep a little bit initially, but then their skip called them off. And now he has them back on and off. And that one's
they
gonna
missed.
blaze.
Yeah, they missed.
Those are tough. He seemed to shoot a little narrow, but tried to fix it by pushing it a little wide, which is super common. But he needed to just trust his line. And let's see, Marshfield once again is going to capitalize on that and hopefully draw in behind their guard. That's their goal.
This is Brantley Northrup's second toss.
And this one looks heavy to me again. You see one of them
Yeah, that's probably
apprehensive
why
to
they're just
sweep,
kind of
but
watching.
there's not much they can do with that. It's at least past the tee, maybe back house. And Wausau East is going to sweep super hard.
And it's going to go out.
And it will stay in play.
It stayed in play, but
And they do have second count right now, I think, with it. But I think Wausau East might capitalize on that. It's great backing for either team. They can make any draw. Nope, Wausau East is going to call this takeout again on count stone.
this is Evan Nygum again.
He's being called for the same shot. So
You can see the scoreboard. Marshfield in yellow with 1 in the first end. On sheet 5.
and he has them sweeping. It looks plenty heavy.
Looks very heavy. If it's on target, fine. If not, there you go.
He made great contact with
Yeah.
that, and he got a great roll.
That was nice.
It rolled probably a little bit more than they wanted, but it's a great roll. Not only did it kind of slip behind that guard a little bit, but it changes the line, and Marshfield has not played out on this edge yet, which will be a new learning curve.
Okay, for Marshfield now, it is their third, who's also the skip, Hunter Week. So he's getting instruction from Logan Schmoll. And this is Hunter Week.
And he has this take lined up on the outside, and this side has been cutting in all day on most of the sheets. So we'll see if he struggles with that. But I think he's going to make good contact.
Yeah, he did.
That was a great hit by him. He also got the roll he wanted.
Nice shot. Nice shot.
It's still open from the front, but both teams are making solid hits with their takeouts. This end is definitely more of a takeout style strategy, which you'll predominantly see more with like high school guys versus the draw game they played in the first end.
Well, we go to Andy Geiger.
And they're sweeping for line right now. That yellow stone is on the outside of the black, but they're going to peel that guard, which I think they'll be okay with in the long run.
Okay.
The issue is he cut narrow initially and was kind of over the center line when he released, and they needed to hold it out with their sweeping, and they couldn't do that.
So Marshfield still lying 2.
And Marshfield right now, I believe, is going to try and peel that front red to sit 3.
Certainly looks like it, doesn't it?
This is an aggressive move, but could be really good. East does have the hammer, but they seem to be struggling more with their takes than Marshfield is. And this might be a draw or a guard. They're definitely sweeping it. I'm going to guess it was actually a guard. I didn't come over quite as far as they wanted. Now Wausau East can just come in from the other side. You can still see over half of it from the other hack.
Mm-hmm. You know, these boys are playing their, what, 3rd game?
This is their 3rd game of the day.
Of the day.
5th of the weekend.
Mm-hmm. This is Andy Geiger.
And his line looks better this time.
Yeah, they're going to just keeping an eye on it.
They need it to cross the center, though, which I'm not sure it will. He did get good contact, so he got one of them. He didn't stick his shooter like he had wanted, but he did make contact with it, so that was good.
Okay, so right now it's pretty much open house, and Marshfield has the 1 lie.
Yep. I bet Marshfield is not as comfortable with that back when sitting as one would think. It's great backing for either, so hopefully they capitalize on that, or they're hoping to capitalize on that before Wausau East does. If you throw heavy, you'll take it out and still be sitting, so I bet they're going to try and draw up in front. You want to keep things in front of the tee line.
Logan Schmoll is their 4. We're in end 2, getting to the end of it. The last throw's coming up. East has the hammer.
And it looks like the skip is going to come up and help them sweep this. It looks like it's going to be a great shot. Very nice draw.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's not quite as buried as they would have liked, or as deep. I think they would have really liked to get to the 4-foot on that one. And Wausau East is going to line up the takeout. And this is their skip's first shot of the end.
Inside the blue is the 4. Inside the white is the 8, and the house is 12. So
both teams seem pretty relaxed out there right now.
yeah, they do. They're focused, but seemingly enjoying or relaxed.
Maybe not as relaxed as the earlier
maybe
games,
not inside as much.
But, he's going to sweep this very hard. They want to keep it outside of that center line, and we watch as it breaks over right now. So they're going to peel this guard right now, maybe. Nope, he got through it, so that was a good shot for him, and he's going to hit the double contact.
Okay.
And Wausau East did just take count stone. They are slightly biting into the 8-foot.
Yeah, just by
a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He just snuck around that guard, so Wausau East got very lucky with that one.
Logan Schmoll now with his second. The last for Marshfield. Might mention that the count is closest to the button, which is the very middle of the house. And that's it. It's who's closest to the button, how many. Doesn't matter whether they're in the 4 or 8. As long as they're in the house, they're they can be score.
So Marshfield is trying to take out the Count Rock right now. They're going to have the same issue that Wausau East did. They have to get around this guard, so it can't cross the middle line too much.
That's not going to do that.
And they split it.
Now, for East, they're lying 1.
East is lying 1, and they're going to want to capitalize on the hammer shot better than Marshfield did. They're going to want to try and take 2. So they can draw anywhere. They're probably going to come in off of this right side and try that way because they have backing. But really, they just need to be biting white. And East has been pretty accurate with their draws today. They've had good draw weight, so we'll see how this one goes.
Well, Will was talking to his teammates.
Yep, you could see him tell them that if they got to white, they would have to.
Yeah.
And as a sweeper, you can be pretty motivated if you know that you can get it there. He's going to deliver, and it's not going to matter much where the line is as long as he gets in and is biting white. You see him.
It's picking up weight, so.
Patting it down. They're hoping it stays.
If anything, it's too heavy.
They might be fine, and they're not going to take a piece of that. So they're going to take 1. And it's just like starting over.
Yeah. And both teams really came out of their end with an opportunity with a hammer and really didn't take advantage of it totally.
Yep, both teams had the opportunity to take 2 in those ends and didn't capitalize on it. So it will be interesting to see how they do it. I don't know if it's just because of the nerves, if it's the championship, but normally these guys would be hitting those stones. So it will be interesting. And they're already on a timeout. This is pretty early for a timeout in a game like this. They've only played 2 ends, and it's tied.
Well, right now you can see the East coach. She's talking to her foursome. I think part of it's just calm down.
Yep, sometimes that is the best reason to have a timeout, to take a breather, say just focus and have fun. East is definitely looks way more stressed than they have, but you see them smiling right now.
Yeah.
So that's good. Marshfield's coach is probably just saying, embrace it, come on, like, stay in it.
In his case, they're all seniors, so it's like, this is your opportunity.
And that's such a hard opportunity. Every senior that's been on the ice today, myself included, just wants to have a good last finish, finish strong, and they have the opportunity to do it. So it's really going to be whoever fights harder and whoever wants it more. There's probably not a whole lot of strategy. They played one end of the draw game. They played one end of the take game. It will be whoever has the first shot who sets up the strategy.
Okay, we're going to end 3 now. And Marshfield has the hammer. It's tied at 1. And that means that Ben Bloom, the lead for East, will be tossing first.
Yep, and it looks like East hasn't called their shot yet, but if I had to guess, they're going to call a center guard.
Well, they timeout. Coming out of the timeout, the Marshfield group is still huddled on the ice.
Yep, so they're throwing second, so they have a little bit longer to just chat. East did call the center guard right now. That team seems to be their predominant strategy, is take control of the control zone right away. This looks like it's a little heavy though, so this will definitely be on the rings.
Yeah, they've made that decision, but it's too heavy for everything.
Yep, so in that case, maybe the timeout was effective. Sometimes you can come from a timeout and you can get a lot of adrenaline and get hyped up, and sometimes it takes a little bit to just cool down, focus. They can either really hurt you or really help you.
I think that's very, very true, Allie. Curling is not like an aggressive sport like a football or a hockey or something where the timeout is used for, you know, energy and emotion. A timeout for curling is relax.
Yeah,
be
it's
yourself.
such a mental game that you really have to stay thinking the whole time. And that was a nice draw for Marshfield, but it did go deeper than they would have liked. Once again, these boys want to be keeping it in front of the tee line so that people can't draw to it.
Okay.
And he's going to call the sit, which is the right call there. He's going to call it because he can sit on that and not have it slide out, and he'll still have count.
Okay, you're talking about Will now.
Yep. So, and they're going to sweep it. It seems to be curling a lot from the inside out right now, which is how it usually swings. And it looks like that's going to be a pretty solid shot for East. Oh, nope, they're going to miss it. They might get a chip. And it will stay. They have second count, which is not a bad place to be. Yeah, but a timeout, they really just is get your head in the game, cool down, focus. So.
Okay, this is Paul Fisher. Marshfield with a hammer, so this is his second throw.
And it looks like Marshfield is going to split the house on East right now. His weight looks like it might be a little bit heavy, but I definitely think it can stay in the rings if it slows down a little bit more.
Yeah, they're letting it go, and that's going to be close.
It's going to be back house, which once again they want to keep it in the front, so they might be having some weight adjustment issues, but I think East is too. It can be tough coming off of a timeout. The further you have the distance in between your throws, the less you know. Some of these teams you'll see timing. I'm not sure either of these teams are out there timing right now, but the girls are over on 4.
This is Evan Nygam.
And he's gonna go sit down on that yellow. Count is the intent right now. And he needs it to cross that control line, which it's just starting to break and should get a chip of.
Okay.
So that's a close call right now.
Yeah, I would say almost measurement. But again, you've got two different angles.
Yep.
You look at it live, you look at it on visual from up above, for example.
Yep. So I think all 3 of those rings are more back house than both teams would like. They definitely need to bring their weight down if they want to be able to take a big end.
Brantley Northrup. Second for Marshfield, first toss for him.
And we have both of the sweepers on it right now. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty nice draw. Maybe a little overswept. They might have wanted to keep it up a little bit more because it's going to cross behind this tee now. But overall, that's a nice draw. It does set up the double for East, but they're going to call a sit. East seems to be more confident with their sits than their takes after that last end. Even though they took the 1 point, they seem to predominantly be a draw team.
This is Evan Nygam.
And we watch it. It's just breaking off of the center line right now. And they need it to curl.
And it is.
They're going to get a part of it for sure. They need it to curl in more, though. They're going to get the back. That's not a bad hit. And then you'll notice that that back stone is still in play because it's not fully out of the back line.
Right. It's hugging the back line.
Yep, so Marshfield is going to call the sit on the red in the half of the 8. He's coming with pretty heavy weight.
Would you, Allie, call this almost a power play for the Tigers because it's open in the middle and they have the hammer?
Yes, so they want to keep the middle open for their hammer shots, and they're going to make that take but not stick their shooter like they would have liked. When you have the hammer, you want to keep the control zone open, and the control zone is the space in between those two black lines and the forefoot, because essentially the idea is that you have to be in the forefoot to score, even though that's not true. So they're doing great setup plays, keeping things open and split, and East is kind of letting them right now.
Okay, this is Andy Geiger with his first.
By calling these sits and missing them, they gave Marshfield the time and the number of rocks to set up the split. And he's going to make good contact with this stone. And that was a good shot for Wausau East. They needed that, and they're going to take first count with that.
Okay, that's a first count for them. And everything's in the back.
Everything's in the back of the house, and they're probably stressing about it a little bit. I bet both teams wish they had something in front of the tee right now. There's no guards up. It looks like Marshfield is going to call the sit on that red. So they're kind of playing a I'm going to follow the you skip game right now.
This is Hunter weak.
They're going to need the stone to curl. You see him swinging his arm. That's the universal curl.
Yeah. Not that it does anything to the rock, but
it does absolutely nothing, but sometimes they listen. And he's going to blaze on that one. He came out about a foot wide, which is way more extreme on line than he has the rest of this game. So this is a moment for Wausau East to take a breather and now try and set up a play. This would be a steal end for them, so they need to be smarter about keeping stones up front.
Well, this is Andy Geiger's opportunity right now as he releases.
And he's throwing a guard right now, so he threw light. He definitely doesn't want to throw through. They're sweeping pretty hard, and it's definitely there. They're going to try and pick it up. Oh, they're taking it all the way in at this point. Once again, his line a little wide, but he made a good draw. That's a pretty far double for them to call. It could be done, but it's pretty far away. So Marshfield's probably going to call a hit and roll straight on that one. But they're trying to line up the double right now, as you can see with their broom heads. He's pointing to the point on the stone where he would like to hit it so that it jams into their red and splits. He's going to have to come with a lot of weight to make that distance, though.
Hunter weak. Marshfield has the hammer in this third end. And a 1-1 tie so far.
And let's see. His stone is swung outside of that far black line, and it's hanging out right now, so he needs it to come in a lot. And he's going to blaze.
Yep. Okay.
So that was 2 misses for him, and that can be kind of tough just to miss both of your shots. Sometimes you can really get in your head.
Well, East right now is lying 3.
2,
close.
maybe 3.
Yeah, close.
I'd say from one of my angles it looks like 3. One of them it looks like 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not quite sure. They definitely measure on that one. I have a feeling they'll do a lot of measuring this game. But
well, it's a championship.
Yep.
State championship, not a Valley Conference or anything like that.
This is this for all the marbles.
Okay, Andy's
right now
helping Will Reike.
They're calling a front house guard. They want to put it in, but they want it to still be guarding that port. And it looks like the front end does not agree with the call. They're talking with their skip. This happens, but they're going to keep it.
Okay. Yeah, Will's made the decision.
They're going to keep it. Sometimes you can make a call on one end, and then you get down to the other end, and it's like, no, this is a bad call. So it looks like he gave a little bit more ice, and maybe will come with a little bit less weight than he initially planned for. Nope, it looks like he's coming with draw weight, if not more.
Yeah, their decision is to let it go, so.
It's definitely hotter than they would have liked, and they're going to get a little chip. That would be good for them right now.
If it doesn't, okay.
That's not the end of the world. It's covering a little bit, but you can still probably see the full rock from the other end.
Okay.
Either way, East did a good job this end because they have, I would say, at least 1 and 2, maybe 3, but not a lot of opportunities for Marshfield to take more than 1 right now. That's a place you want to be in.
Marshfield Logan Schmoll.
So it's his first stone, and he's going to try and remove that draw that they just put in. And it looks like it's hanging a little wide, but it's still within the line, so it's going to come in. With his weight, it might not come in enough, and he's going to roll his shooter, and that's going to take out their third count.
Take
so
a
now
look at that.
Wausau East is sitting 4 in the back in a straight line. So this is essentially great and awful at the same time. Basically,
yeah, because you can just put 1 in there.
Marshfield can throw almost anywhere and hit something and get 1.
Yeah, I've seen this happen before.
Yep, my game yesterday, I think we had 7 in the back row, and we took 1. You know, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So Wausau East is set up for a really great steal. So they have to figure out where they can put that stone. They're going to want it to keep it front house. Where they can put that stone so that they can still get points out of this.
Yeah, that, you know, if you just look at that, Allie, it's like, wow. But they're all back.
2 stones can change a lot in curling very fast.
And it's wide open in the middle.
Yeah, there's
the 4 and the 8 are open, so if Will doesn't put something in there, all they've got to do is place it.
Once again, this is a completely different strategy than the first 2 ends they played. The first end they played a clutter draw game. The second end they played a take game, and right now they're playing a back house game.
Right.
And I think out of all 3, both teams seem to be like, we don't like either of these right now. So they're sweeping pretty hard. They need to get up though so it doesn't come too deep. And they might be too deep already.
Oh, it's got to get in there.
That's going to land half or fully in the 8-foot, which is a nice solid shot for them.
Okay.
Marshfield will have to remove that stone and stick
to score.
Right. This is going to be a lot of pressure because this is a big end. You don't want to go down 5 ever, even early. They're trying to pick what side they want to shoot from. If they shoot from the right side and go wide, they still have 1 in the back that they might sit on. But if they shoot from the left, they might be able to shoot a double. So, and they're choosing the right.
This is Logan Schmoll. And they're probably 4 years together. Curling at Marshfield, they've seen most everything, so.
Yep, you can grow a lot as a team. This looks like it's a little wide to me right now.
It's got to curl more than it is.
And this might go straight through. Wausau East is going to try and sweep very hard to try and get this, and they're going to end up stealing 1.
1, okay. They got 1.
That's still a great end for Wausau East. Marshfield did a really great job of getting themselves out of a really sticky situation. They could have gone down 5, but
You could hear the
they
East,
limited it down, yeah.
the East fans owing when that happened because, you know, they had so much right there. But
They
give
had,
Marshfield credit.
yep, they had so much right there, but anybody who's been around curling would know you do not want a wall in the back house.
Yeah.
And
So we've gone through 3 ends now, and Wausau East now with the lead for the first time, 2-1. And Allie, you mentioned early on probably low scoring here in this championship game, and that's held true so far.
yep, and that was the first steal of the game. We watched Wausau East steal one on Marshfield. Otherwise, it was whoever had the hammer took the point. Now, Wausau East has won this gotten to this point in the tournament by stealing. They have stole on every single team they've played, and Marshfield was stealing a lot earlier today too. So it'll be interesting to see who can outplay each other at the steal game.
And because East scored, Marshfield remains with the hammer.
Yep, Marshfield is going to take this straight center take down the line right now. They're sweeping it for line because he shot a little bit narrow, and they're trying to keep it as far on the center line as they can.
This is Paul Fisher's first.
And he got a chip of it, so he's going to clear the house.
Okay.
So that's good. I think they would have liked to stick their shooter, as most people would, because anything in the house is nice, but it might clear it out from being a take game. And now if you look, East is going to throw their same shot. And it looks like they're sweeping pretty hard, but that rock seems to be moving pretty fast down the ice.
This is Ben Bloom's second toss.
And I think they want this in the front house, and it looks like it's got enough to get there. I'd say it's probably biting 12.
Mm-hmm. Right on.
Right on the center line, yep.
Right on.
Okay, and Marshfield's gonna peel this. You can definitely tell Marshfield likes the take game. East is gonna try and set up the draw game, but Marshfield is going to want to take stuff out, because if you take stuff out, you can't score off.
Paul Fisher, second to
Once
throw.
again, he's gonna hit the edge.
And
He's
go
gonna
off.
roll his shooter, and
Successful on the other end.
he got it all the way out. His skip can only sweep the opponent's stone past the tee line, so he had to wait before he could sweep that. And once again, East is gonna call a front guard. He's
So we have
keeping
our
things high this
empty
time.
house, and
Yep. They're trying to keep things up front after that last end where they had everything in the back of the house.
this
They're
is
doing a pretty good job at it too.
Evan Nygam. You can see the score in the background. You can see the girls' championship as well. That's close in their third end.
So this looks like it's gonna draw probably T+ for the boys. And that's deeper than they would have liked. They called a front house guard. Marshfield's gonna throw the same take. They're coming from a different side this time. Sometimes you'll do that because they overcurled both times on the other handle with their lead. So their second's gonna take it from the other side
Brent Northrup.
in hopes of hitting that more head on. He looks like he shot a little wide, but his weight looks like he'll get a piece.
Well, that's curling in.
And
It's going to be right there.
he's gonna hit it on the side, but he's gonna have a cleaner hit than his lead stones. He didn't quite come with enough weight, but it ended up being good that he came kind of at like a hack takeout weight, because he really needed that to curl. He shot wide.
really curled at the end to help them out.
Yep, and Wausau East is taking the take. They've chosen to come from the same line as they had the Marshfield team was trying earlier, and this shot is wide. And will probably blaze on through, if not take out their own.
Well, yes.
Yep, it's taking out their own.
Yep.
So there's one in the button right now, straight on the center line.
And because Marshfield has a hammer, the last throw, that was a big change.
Yep. They really needed something. It's usually when you miss a take is when a team can start setting up something. And right now they're going to try and do a front house draw, but guard. They just want some coverage on that stone. And once again, the skip moved back over to the right side of the sheet, calling a different handle for his second draw.
This is Brantley Northrup.
He's going to get great line on it, though. It's going to end up curling right at the very end and cover at least half.
Yep.
That was a nice shot. It does line up a double for Wausau East, but I'm not sure they'll call it. Yep, they are calling it right now.
Yeah, they are calling it. So it's, you know, we're looking at the thirds throwing now, like Andy Geiger right now, and Marshfield with a hammer. This is getting to be an interesting end.
Let's see.
Nothing like the last one.
Yeah, they don't want it to cross this outside edge that it is crossing on. They want it to come in a little bit, and it's going to blaze wide.
Whoa, sure did.
It's hanging out more on the edges than they're putting their broom. They've pushed wide on most of these, and they're still giving a lot of ice, so they need to adjust in order to make those shots.
Okay, Marshfield's third, Hunter weak.
They're going to throw a nice guard here because they saw that Wausau East wanted to take it out. And if you look, he's calling the line in. He wants less ice because he watched how much it hung on Wausau East the last one.
Logan Schmoll acted as his vice skip on his.
And it looks like it's going to have pretty good guard weight. They're not sweeping it, but not too worried about it coming. They need to not sweep it so that it will curl. When you sweep, it makes it hold the line straighter and go further. So that was a good job. Nice shot. Wausau East is going to call a sit. And if you look at it from the other hack, you can still see about 3/4 of the stone. So that's very doable.
Again, this is Andy Geiger's second throw.
And this line looks better. You want to keep it from crossing that edge line of the control zone completely, because once you get there, it probably won't curl back in time. And he might get a piece, but not enough. Nope. And it will stay in play, but it's in third count right now. And it looks like Marshfield is going to put up another guard. They're setting up a great end to score big. They have the hammer, so they're setting up a great end. They've kept the center open, and they've put a guard up front. They can tap that in. They can tap stuff back. And we'll see where he comes. That looks like it's pretty heavy for a guard. But it's curling on the outside edge, so it may slow down. And it's still going faster than the sweeper's just average walk.
Yeah, it's moving.
So it's definitely at least in the 8 foot.
No, it's not going to hurt him.
Nope. That does set up a pretty easy double. So Wausau East is lining it up right now. They're saying that they need to hit almost nose on, a little off, to split those right now. And that's what they'll call.
This is a big shot.
This is a big shot. This could mean a really big comeback end for them. Will looks like he's smiling, so that's good.
Well, he certainly knows what he needs to do.
Yep. This is going to be probably a game changer.
Yeah, well, with success now, they would have one sitting.
Yep. It basically, he's going to go for it and hope he makes it.
Yeah,
they're
the
going
coach
to try
goes
and
for a
eliminate.
walk.
Yeah.
The East coach went for a walk.
And
she knows. She knows how important this one is.
He looks like he's got some pretty good line on it.
Yeah, he's got.
He's going to make solid contact. He only got one, but that eliminates a lot of count. And it's hidden behind the guard. So that was a very nice shot by the East kid.
Interesting setup now.
Marshfield is thinking their stones are basically in a line, almost off the center. They're not quite, but they're still lined up.
Would they just do a draw here and set something up on one side or the other?
They might.
Where East can't get at it?
It almost looks like they're going to guard.
Okay. Okay.
Or sit on it. You could maybe come in around, try and splice it out the side. But sometimes just taking one, I don't know. You have to decide if taking one and losing the hammer is a better situation than losing one and keeping the hammer and trying to set up a good end. They did set up a great end until that last hit. And that's going to come in a little bit heavier than they thought, I believe. But they're going to come right to theirs, almost.
Oh, no, okay.
Nope. So
right now they are sitting one. They're lining one.
They are sitting one. Wausau East has two, and Wausau East has that double opportunity again. Their skip was pretty close to it. That double's not as clean as the first one. You have to hit it on the outside. That's what they're trying to figure out right now, if they go for the double or if they guard. If they guard, they'd only be giving up one and they'd be receiving the hammer, which is a pretty good situation. If they hit that, they're in a pretty good situation. So, and it looks like they haven't made the call yet.
No, they're going for two the way it looked like he motioned.
Yep.
For
it looks
double.
like he's talking with his front and his third isn't holding line. I think he's getting some opinions.
Sure is.
Right now. The third seems to be conflicted. I know that feeling. You just don't know what to do. It's going to be kind of a crucial play. If he guards and gives up one, it's like starting over.
Yeah.
Fourth end. Still have half the game left. There's a lot of time in curling. He's going to guard, it looks like. Which I'm not shocked. After watching the games, it seems that the third is fonder of the safer option of guards usually. That looks pretty fast, so maybe they are trying it.
They're doing something beyond the guard, I think.
They could be trying to do a double raise, which would be into the yellow, into the yellow, into the red. But that actually did not work for them because it shot a yellow into the forefoot.
Now, Marshfield has a chance for 3 or 4.
Marshfield is sitting 2 right now with the hammer. They can draw in on that right side to get 3, but they'd have to be at the forefoot. There's not a lot of opportunity to hit that red. If they could hit that red without jamming, they would be sitting probably 5. So he's calling the draw right there. But they're thinking about trying to get the hit. Nope, they're going to call the draw.
Yeah, they're looking at a draw just to
draw. They're going to come
close.
out with 2. It's going to be a good end for them.
Okay. Logan Schmoll. Final shot. Final toss. End at number 3. East coming into end 3 up 2-1.
Yep.
And they're going to come out of this down
Good
something.
weight. And they're not sweeping it, but it doesn't look like it's particularly heavy. It's already curled over a lot. So they're sweeping for line right now, but it looks a little hot. That might actually tap the red into second count.
It did.
So that was
It
the
did.
exact opposite of what the Marshfield Tigers just wanted to do right now.
So East lost 1.
Lost 1 and gained the hammer. That is the ideal situation when you don't have the hammer, to only let 1 go. If you're not going to steal, only let 1 go and get the hammer back.
Marshfield foursome, they have to think we just let something go by here.
Yeah, that was a hard blow for them. You can see them hanging their heads after that one. You don't want to do that.
Well, we're halfway through now. We're going to the 5th end, and we're even at 2. And Allie, I go back to your prediction. Low score.
Low score. It's going to be close. Like I said, they've changed up the strategy in every single end. We've watched them play a draw game. We've watched them play a take game. We've watched them play a backhouse game. We've watched them play a come-around game. So it'll be interesting to see what Marshfield is going to set up right now.
Well, Marshfield gave up the hammer, so East has the hammer now, and we're even at 2.
Marshfield's going to go pretty standard. They're going to throw a center guard. It's not going to be quite as high as they had hoped, or quite as center as they hoped, but it's still going to be a nice guard. And Wausau East is going to call the draw behind that center guard. This is where they want to be. They like this game.
You know, this is interesting from the standpoint of the 2 teams that are involved. One has never won a state championship. One hasn't won one since 2007. So it's almost like whoever wins, great. Whoever doesn't win, great.
Yep, and they're both coming. We play in the same conference during the season. I think we're all just rooting that it's from the northern region of the state. Predominantly, state is taken over kind of by the schools down south. That was a great draw for Wausau East. They tucked themselves behind that guard. And it looks like Marshfield is going to line up a hit or draw to right now. You just saw...
Well, Ben Bloom's shot did what he wanted to do. Now it's Paul Fisher's turn for Marshfield.
Yep, we just saw their lead ask for more ice, which may have been a good thing. He did shoot a little narrow, but they needed to curl a lot. He needs to cross that center line to get a chip of it. I'm not sure it has enough. Nope.
Barely.
So he asked for a little bit of extra ice, and he's probably hating himself right now for doing that.
Yeah.
I know we've all been there where we're like, we need more, and then you don't. But overall, he came out on the line he came, like was given, so that's good.
Okay.
Wausau East is going to call another front house guard.
And Ben Bloom with his second shot now. They have a chance to put some pressure on.
Yep, they're setting up a shot. Whenever a team is going to miss, the other team has a chance to set up their end. And we'll see if Wausau East is going to do it. They're
letting it go.
Yep, they're going to let it curl in. It's probably going to come right up to with that weight. It's slowing down a little bit. You see them alluding to the pat. He wanted that on, and it is on.
It's barely, but there. Doesn't matter as long as it's on. If it's...
It can literally be on the black outside edge line. It's that crazy. Marshfield's right now, there's a double, but they're probably going to just try. Let's see, they could come around or they could take. And they're chatting about it between the second and the skip. They're going to try and take right now. There's a lineup for a double.
Brantley, Northrup.
And both sweepers on it right away. The key is to keep it on the middle of the center line right now, and it's going to peel with the guard. They needed to keep it out of that center line because they had a guard up there, but they needed it to curl once they got past the guard to hit the double.
Okay.
So we'll see what East does. They're probably going to throw that guard straight on the middle. That would be best for them right now. Give both stones coverage.
This looks like end number 2.
Yep.
I remember. Very similar.
Very similar. They're trying to keep things up front. They are much more comfortable with the draw behind and guard game than they are for those straight takes like Marshfield was forcing them to make earlier. They did hang in, but sometimes it can get tiring having to shoot take after take after take. And they're just going to let this one stop on the center line.
Well,
They're going to tap theirs in a
little
little
more.
bit.
Yeah, just a little more.
But that actually works out for them. It kind of makes it a wider double. You would almost have to come in from the outside in. But I guess there's still both angles on it.
Okay. Now,
let's see. They're going to try and go from the inside out on that double take, but he's questioning the lineup on it now. It's not as clean as it was earlier. Where you'd have to hit it on the outside edge of the stone to hit it, but you'd have to come with a lot of weight. So he's questioning how to line that up right now. So he's looking at it from the other way, like I said, from the outside in on the other side to try that handle. The second seems a little apprehensive.
this is Brantley Northrup with his second throw.
And he's coming with plenty of weight. That's strong takeout weight. But they're going to need to stay on the outside of that black line, it looks like. And they're curling. They're going to get a part of it, I believe. But once again, he's not going to stick his shooter, which is going to hurt them. He would have liked to hit that more head-on so that he could have laid count.
Yeah.
Wausau East going to throw another guard. Right now, they're in position to take one. By keeping these up front, they can tap them back later.
Well, if you look at what's happened so far, when it comes to the hammer, East has stolen one.
Yep.
That's been it.
The only steal.
Because Marshfield had the hammer in end 1, and we're even.
Yep, it's going to be a really neck-to-neck game. Neither of these teams are going to let a big end come on them in the state tournament. In this championship game, I don't think. And this looks like it's going to be a pretty nice guard. They want to sweep it out to see if they can get it more towards that red. And they did pull it a little bit.
With Allie Cotton, a senior, member of the DC Everest curling team. I'm George Hirsch. Hope you're enjoying our Wisconsin State Boys Curling Championship from the Wausau Curling Club. We are halfway through pretty much in N5, and we're even at 2 with Marshfield and Wausau East. Marshfield has never won the state championship in curling for boys, and East the last time was 2007.
And Marshfield is lined up to take the straight take on East Stone in the house right now. It looks like it's a little wide as it's approaching the outside edge of that black line. They need it to curl in or it's just going to blaze. And they're going to miss that one.
That one's going to be a blaze.
East had missed the guard. It did not roll over as far as they would like, so they're going to call another one to cover that.
Still a lot of action left here in this end yet.
Yep, we're seeing a lot of East stones still in play and not a lot of Marshfield stones. They are calling the guard. It looked like their third. Maybe you wanted to put one in the house, but ultimately the skip was like, thought the guard was a better option. And they're sweeping to get it there right now. And it looks like it should end on pretty good spot. That's going to take care of the side that they didn't cover with their first guard. The Marshfield skip is shaking his head right now. He does not like how clogged this control zone is. If you look, East has 3 red guards in the control zone and a stone right behind it. So he's going to have to move a guard before he can move that stone.
So he has another option, of course, and that is forget about it and do what he's doing right now.
So right now he's going to just try and outdraw that red stone, which he can very easily do. It's pretty much wide open. He's just going to have to get the swing right and get his weight right. That red stone is just in the 8 foot, so if he can get to the 4 or the 1, then he'll have count.
Hunter weak with his second shot.
The key will be to get it behind all of those guards. And you see them sweeping hard right now for line. So hopefully it's got a good weight. And it looks like it's going to fall short.
It's going to curl.
And they're hoping to not shoot that in the house, which they didn't.
Now that doesn't help Marshfield.
That doesn't help Marshfield. It actually narrowed down their ability to get. And now East is going to call the draw behind. They're calling it from the opposite side because that Marshfield stone is now in the way, making the other draw harder.
So now what they're doing is spreading things out. So Marshfield with that, they have the hammer.
And they can shoot basically anything in that front up, just on for.
It's got to do it. No, slow down. Otherwise, I think it's going to be okay. It's not going to be in the front, though.
And back house.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a nice draw for Wausau East.
Okay. So they're line 2.
They're line 2. And now Marshfield is planning to sit, I believe. That's a good option. You can sit, you have backing. Even if you just draw and you're miss and heavy, backing's always nice.
Now, if they came in to hit that, like for a takeout, their rock or their stone would go with it, right? Kind of? It wouldn't back up. Would it back up?
Their stone, if they hit it nose on, would sit second count. It will just hit and stop right where they hit it if they hit it hard enough.
Okay.
But that's still not far enough to take first count.
That's what I'm asking
that's why
about.
they're drawing right now.
Yeah, that's my question.
Yep, and they're going to throw. This is not the same line that Wausau East just put down. It's a little bit more ice. So they're expecting it to curl more or come with less weight. And they're throwing this draw right now, but they gave more ice because they do have backing. And it looks to be a little narrow. They're going to want to keep it outside of those black lines. And it's cutting across. But this looks like it's a pretty nice guard. Or draw, I mean. But it's going to be too heavy, and Wausau East is going to sweep it out.
Yeah. Well, it's close, but I think it's still red back there.
I think you're right, but I'd probably measure if I were them. They're going to throw a front house guard. They're hoping to be full red, but I don't think they need to be. They just need the line. They need the line over the depth at this point. You can see their skip smiling. He knows that they're in a good steal position. It's not even a steal. They have the hammer, so they are in a good scoring position. He's taking a deep breath. He needs to throw a good weight, nice and light, and focus on that line. He doesn't want to give them the opportunity to draw in or hit. And they're not sweeping it right now, and it looks like it's got plenty of weight. It will slow down because it's on the outside edge a little bit, but it's coming in. And I would guess it's going to be full red, biting white. Full white even, biting blue.
Yeah.
That was a nice shot.
Yeah, that was a very nice shot.
That was even better than what he had called, so.
And you can hear the clapping of the East fans right next to us here. So
yep, that was a very nice
we're not the only
shot.
ones that think it was a pretty good shot.
That was a great shot.
They're either lying 2 or 3 now, and they have the hammer.
Yep, they are in a very great spot. They have a lot of stones up front for an easy tap back right now. They could even almost crotch those 2 guards and try and put 2 on with it. They got a lot of options.
This is a very, very important shot for
Yep, right
Logan
now.
Schmoll.
He's trying to follow them down right now. And this will be a big end. If they can limit the number of stones Wausau East has, they'll be doing its job. And it looks like it's going to come in a little wide, so maybe not as much as he would like, but it's still going to outcount.
Okay.
So that was a great shot by Marshfield.
That was awesome. For them, they have they're lying 1 now. No, they took 1 away. They took 1 away.
They took 1, maybe 2 of those stones away.
Yeah, yeah.
Making it harder for Wausau East to score a big end.
Yeah, you look at that now. The 1 in the blue is a count for sure.
Yep.
1 in the red to the left, next to the yellow, is a kind of a toss-up as you look at it. But right now they have the hammer, so.
So right now it looks like they're trying to draw in from this other side. I'm not sure why they chose to do that instead of come in and follow that straight down again, but it looks like they're far enough out on the edge that they can make it around. They just have to have the weight there. And you see 3 of them sweeping is going to come up short.
Yeah, it's not going to go.
But
I could see what their idea was.
Yep, their idea was to come and cut around, but I'm not sure they could get there with the weight that they threw.
So we're going to measure maybe for that second. Nope.
Nope.
They got 2.
I think they only took 1.
1. Okay, they gave up 1. Okay.
But overall, that was a good job by Marshfield to limit them down. They could have had 3 in that end, and it was a good end for East. They set up a really good strategy. They definitely had control over the house that time. They put their stone in, they set the guard, and they were in control. Marshfield was playing their game in that end, which is really important.
We move on to end number 6, Allie, with East up now 3-2. Neither team has had more than a 1-point lead.
Nope, this is what you would expect at state, you know. The state championship, they're going to be close. These teams have played each other before. They've won once, each of them. And they're playing very aggressively but conservatively. They're not doing anything crazy, which is good. They don't need to be doing anything crazy yet. None of them have big comebacks. And Wausau East, once again, throwing the middle guard.
Yep, now Marshfield with a hammer now because he scored.
Yep, so they put up a nice free guard. And let's see. Marshfield is going to call the draw to the wing versus the draw behind to the button. Once again, he's changing his mind.
Yeah.
He's going to call the draw behind. His lead said, no, I think we should do that.
Hunter Week, the skip. Paul Fisher, the release.
That was a great change of his mind. It was way smarter to come around than it was to go out to the wing in that situation. It's still a little wide, but it might slow down. It's going to be back house if it stays in. It's going to be a very nice draw for them. But he didn't get any coverage, which is what his skip had initially wanted. And now they're going to call the sit. I would probably call the take because it's that early. But once again, their lead seems to be more comfortable with the sits for Wausau East.
And their lead is Ben Bloom, who just had the release of the red rocker stone, your preference, whatever. And it's heavy enough.
It looks like he is going to have a good sit on this. That's going to be a really nice shot for Wausau East.
Okay, he did the job.
The issue with that was he came too heavy to just freeze on it, and his stone is still wide open for a takeout, which is why a take and roll may have been a safer choice there. But that means that this Marshfield lead is going to have to hit.
This is Paul Fisher again.
And they have him sweeping. He shot narrow. Their goal here is to not let it cross the center line.
And heavy.
They didn't. And he's going to get a little piece, but maybe even count. But it was definitely not as head-on as they would have liked. That's close. I'm not sure who has it.
Again, it's the angle, whether it's from up above or from the side.
And once again,
Can't really tell.
Wausau East is going to call the sit coming from the other way. Their second. And we'll see how he comes with his sit weight.
Evan?
It looks a little heavy to me, but we'll see where that lands. It needs to come in a lot. You see it breaking just now as it starts to cross more
But it
towards
stopped
the
breaking. Well,
line.
now it's breaking. Now it's breaking.
And as it breaks, it will slow down. So they got lucky with that one. They really needed that.
That's a nice shot.
That was a beautiful shot. That for sure puts them in first count. Maybe first and second. I couldn't tell you. And let's see what the Marshfield skip is thinking. He knows he needs to move something out. He just can't decide how to do it. He can either... Okay, he's going to go for the double. This is kind of a stretch of a double because they're parallel to each other in the house. So he's going to have to hit the side. Nope, he's just going to call those single take right now.
Yeah.
He realized the dub wasn't there.
Brantley, Northrup.
Okay, and it's curling off of the center line a little bit. They got up on sweeping to let it curl out. And he's just going to get a little tick. And with that, I think East still has first count, but that was a great shot by their second.
He did what he was asked to do, for sure.
He did what he was asked to do with the called shot, and now Wausau East is going to make their call the takeout straight down the middle. And their sweepers are going to make sure that it doesn't leave this black line. They're going to sweep in hopes that it curls in more towards the center. This looks like it's going to be a nice shot for Wausau East. And
Yeah, it's looking...
it's going to make contact right where they want it, I think. That was a very nice shot. The Wausau East crowd is very happy. I'm not sure if they have second count, but who cares, because that is what we call a zero in curling. Right on the button, and it's got backing behind it. There's not a whole lot Marshfield can do to remove that stone because there's two behind it.
Well, they'll have some chances here because they have the hammer. They have 5 more throws, but talk about setting something up to put them on the defensive. Wow.
So they're going to have to come with a lot of weight to move this right now. And the worst part is it has their stone behind it, so they want to prevent a jam. Because if they jam that red one in, it makes it scoring almost impossible. So
well, they've got the weight.
They have the weight to move one. I'm not sure they have enough to move two. They're going to have to hope that they don't hit their own. They're going to blaze it.
Yeah, yeah.
And they just shot themselves out of the second count contingent. Wausau East is lane 1 and 2 right now.
Right.
And
This is getting interesting for Marshfield now. I mean, this is a big one for them.
Wausau East is going to throw a guard right now. They're going to feel really good. They're setting up a strong end to steal. Not only do they have 2 touching the 1 foot, but they have yellow rocks behind. So yellow can't hit their red without jamming into their yellow.
This is Andy Geiger. East coming into this sixth end up 3-2, but Marshfield has a hammer.
And they're sweeping this guard pretty hard. It looks like it's plenty there to me, but they're definitely, okay, and they're gonna end up taking this yellow out. I'm not exactly sure why, but that roll to the back isn't awful because that creates even more of a jam for Marshfield. They cannot hit that red without hitting their yellow out or jamming on another red. So this is gonna make these back end shots way harder. And it looks like the Marshfield skip is talking about the double from the left side in. They're kind of close, almost in line with each other. When the stones are that close to each other, you have to come with a very heavy weight to move them both. Once again, he's scared of the jam on that yellow sitting behind them.
Okay, Hunter weak.
He's gonna have to make sure he doesn't come out of that black line edge, but make sure that he doesn't cross the center line because there's a guard right there. So this is gonna have to be a pretty straight shot on the broom. And it looks like it's way out there.
It's got a long way to come back.
It's got a long way to come back and a lot of weight behind it. So he might get something, but nope, he's gonna blaze that one through.
And that helps East's effort to get more than one here.
Yep, Wausau East right now is talking about doing a tap back because they see the jam right now. They can tap theirs back and they'll still stay in. So I think they're calling a come down too. But if they fell short and guarded, that would be a great plan B.
And it looks like that's what they're doing.
Yep. So they're watching it come in. It looks like there's plenty of weight, and it looks like it's going to curl. You see the Marshfield third there to sweep it if he gets the opportunity. He's realized he's not going to.
No.
So that is a third stone in the 4-foot for Wausau East right now. It does set up the double from the other side, but the only issue is that that double jams right into that yellow. So Marshfield is gonna want to be very careful with that because if they hit it, that red in this button will hit their yellow out, leaving Wausau East with 4. So that's what they're talking about right now. They've got to line up their angles carefully. I'm not sure they can miss the jam regardless. Right now he's even talking about peeling the front guard, it looks like. They're going to peel the guard to open it up for the hammer. They can't get to anything in the middle with that guard there.
Well, they have the hammer, and they'll have the 4 shooter coming up. So they've got, after him, they've got 2 opportunities.
Yep. So
they're looking far ahead here.
Try and open it up so that they can do stuff with their skip rocks. The issue with peeling a guard is you have to make sure you come with enough weight, and you have to make sure that your guard doesn't just replace it.
It's certainly heavy enough.
And
well,
that was
not bad.
A decent shot.
Yeah.
It definitely opened things up, it looks like. And Wausau East is going to throw a guard. They're going to want to replace it and make them have to do it again.
Okay. East is lying 2 now.
The issue is those 2 in the button are straight on each other, so you couldn't hit them super nicely to hit the thing. There's still a double with that one in the front of the 4-foot. You could split out that one and the top one in the button. That's still very there. And
what's Andy doing here?
East skip just called for more ice. He's throwing a guard right now, and he really needs this guard. He doesn't want it in. He needs the guard. And you see his sweepers sweeping pretty hard. third sweeper coming down. And they're getting up. They're going to let it curl. They need it in the middle of the black line and the center line, which looks like they're going to get. It's probably a little deeper than they would have liked, but it's the line that matters, so it's going to come right down to.
Yeah, it's just another guard. And it's in a position that continues to put the pressure on.
Yep, that
Marshfield.
Just took away that double that I had mentioned earlier. It makes it significantly harder. Marshfield is going, the issue with their peel is they simply replaced it with their own. So they could potentially raise or jam, but they have a lot of red rock to move. And they're all very close to each other. And it's hard to move them that much when there's not a lot of distance in between them. So they're going to call the double right now.
They look pretty serious.
This is a big moment for them. This could be a big end. He's lining it up. And he fishtailed a little bit in his delivery, but they're not touching it. It looks like it's a little wide. And that just moved Wausau East into the third count position.
One more.
And once again, the issue with this is Marshfield is moving these rocks with a lot of weight, and they're hitting the line, but they're so close together that it's impossible for them to move them the distance they need to move them because of the stack. That's sitting in
they're feeling good about it.
Yep, they're sitting 3, and he needs this guard. And that yellow sitting 4th is just jammed back there, so there's not much Marshfield can play off of that. They really needed to be playing a sit, or they needed to take earlier in this.
Now a good guard here is worth a lot.
Is worth more than a point. They're going to leave it high if they can. It looks like this is still going to cruise into the house, but it's still going to be good line. That's really great for Wausau East because if you look at it, it's maybe an inch away from where they are, but it depletes most of the doubles that are there. And let's see. The skip is looking at this right now, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stones in the forefoot. And that's never a good feeling unless you're Wausau East right now because they have 4 of them. He is still sitting 4th count, but he has to find a way to limit that down. This is the big end that Wausau East has been hoping for. And you see their lead suggests the sit. That would outcount at least 2 of them. Maybe. But it's probably the safest option. Right now, they really don't have a bright side. They're going to give up at least 1 or 2 right now because that back one in the button is jammed up against their own. So right now, it's really going to be, can they limit it to 2?
Final throw, end 6.
And it looks like they're going to try a hit. I don't know what I would have done in that situation.
This is Logan Schmoll. That's their decision. They've got plenty of weight.
It's going to move stuff, but I'm not sure.
Well, we'll find out right now. Still.
So it did limit them to 2.
2.
So that was a
Looks
good.
like it. Yeah.
That was a good hit by him. But
2.
East taking 2 in that end was a big steal for them. They've got to feel good about that. They definitely had Marshfield shaking.
And you kind of forget because it is a steal, and they've had 2 of those now out of 6 ends, half of those, so 2 out of 3.
Yep, and once again, you cannot win without stealing, and that's how they've come so far in this tournament. They they just take it one at a time. Even if they just steal one, they just steal one, and then they keep going, and they catch momentum, and they're really good at it. They've stuck to that strategy, and if you look at them now, they look calm and relaxed as this timeout's being called. They know that they had a good end and that they're curling well right now.
Well, they're looking at something.
They're looking for the coach. It looks like the Marshfield coach is just making his way out onto the ice now.
All right.
For a timeout.
Oh, there he is, yeah.
And you see Wausau East smiling after that big steal. Their biggest thing right now is to stay relaxed. They need to keep their heads in it and not let it go away. They need to stay in this. Marshfield right now needs to realize that they're not down by that much.
No, they're down 3. 2 ends remaining.
That's plenty.
Yeah, there's time.
They can do a lot in those 3 ends. Their biggest flaw on that last end was they didn't try and sit in the button soon enough or take out soon enough. Wausau East was genius with their stack. They've been calling sits and stacks this whole game, and it finally paid off for them in that end.
That was a very different end than the others that we've seen. We've seen 4 in the back. We've seen open.
Yeah. Once again, they've literally played a different strategy every single end of this game. I don't know if it's because they just have been looking to find one that's going to score big for them, or whoever is taking control of possession first. But they've all come very different. Wausau East looks like they're still having a good time. They seem happy and chill on the ice. Sometimes when you're having fun, you curl the best when you're just out there with your buds.
Now, let's go back to the prior game after a timeout. Remember in that last game how one team came out a little bit energized and maybe strong with some of their tosses?
Wausau East right now, their biggest issue is going to be keeping their weight down on these first lead zones. We've seen their lead come off of timeouts and just blaze them through, and we've all had that feeling. It can be really difficult to come off of a timeout, do a pump up, score a big end. Sometimes you just have to take a deep breath and remember that you're being a lead and you're throwing a guard.
Yeah, this is not like psyching up for football or basketball or hockey.
You have to take a deep breath and stay calm. You see him taking a deep breath right there. I would guess his coach told him to calm down.
Okay.
It's always so exciting when you get a big end like that, but it's always such a sudden switch over to see who can keep their heart rate down and head focused.
So the game of curling is a game of transition in a lot of ways.
Yep, and whatever team can adjust to the ice is the team that wins. We've seen Marshfield struggle a little bit with reading the ice for their line. They've taken a few guards here, and we've seen Wausau East struggle a little bit with reading their weight. Overall, that first shot was way better than the Wausau East lead's first shot after the last timeout. He had better control over his weight, but it wasn't as far center as they would have liked. Okay. And you see the third hanging the score right now. Let's see. Marshfield drawing to the wings as they had started their strategy out earlier. This is what they came into the game with, and they took the first end and the fourth when they did this. So they're going to try and force a take game, if I had to take a guess on what they're going to do.
Yeah, the first they won 1 point, and the fourth they
took 1 point. And they have the hammer again, and that's going to be a real advantage, but they do need to capitalize on it and make sure they're making that hammer shot. And once again, Wausau East is going to draw behind the guard.
This is N7, and high school, it's 8, so there are 2 left. East is up by 3 points.
Definitely anything could still happen at this point, but... And this is going to split.
Split a little bit.
They're not quite going to get the roll on, but that's okay. And let's see. That's going to mess a little bit with Marshfield's plan. Originally, they were going to draw out to that far wing, but now they're going to try and draw in because Wausau East has a guard there.
This is Paul Fisher, his second toss.
And he had great weight on his first one. So if he can do that and just adjust his line to where this broom is now, they're going to be sitting really well. And it looks like this is going to be a nice draw for them. Wausau East is going to start sweeping behind the tee line, and it's going to be back house. This is what Wausau East wants. They love having something to sit and stack on. You saw it in the last game how they stacked and stacked and stacked, and before you knew it, they had 4. They're going to call the same thing because they have backing. And hopefully set up the same exact end as the last end. That's their goal with this shot right now. And they're sweeping for line right now, but it looks pretty good to me.
Evan Nygam with the throw. Ben Bloom and Andy Geiger on the sweeps.
It's going to be a little light, which is going to peel that out and open things up, which is totally okay for Wausau East because now they have the whole control zone open, and Marshfield is going to try and close it. Their issue is it was a great guard, a great red guard for their stone. So they're going to have to place it pretty spot on so that someone can't hit that. And it looks like it's pretty light. The sweepers jumped on that pretty fast,
yeah, right
but the
away.
line looks really good, so they're going to want to sweep it there all the way. They might have to let up a little bit to let it curl, but that's going to be a great guard for Marshfield. It's going to bury it completely almost.
Okay.
Maybe a little overswept. It's a little bit further on the line, but it's awesome. You can probably see a quarter, maybe a half of that stone. So Wausau East looks like they're going to try and draw.
Yeah, the Marshfield foursome happy about that last throw.
That was a big, good shot for them.
Second shot here for Evan Nygam. The second.
And let's see, they needed to curl within this line so it doesn't tick.
Yeah, just
That
barely.
was great for him. And it's going to be too heavy.
Yeah,
It did lose a little momentum
yeah.
right there. But in order to cut around that guard, they had to sweep it. And they couldn't get line and weight.
Yeah.
And once again, Marshfield is going to probably plug that port. They're sitting what looks to be 2. They're going to need a big M, but they have the hammer, so that's on their side. Whatever they do, they're going to want to come out of this 7th end with more than 1 because
Brantley.
they're going to have to steal in the 8th most likely, and they
Right.
won't have the hammer. So you want to be as close as you can without.
Brantley Northrup's throw.
And that's going to work out super nice for them. It's going to tuck behind the guard.
You know, they're setting this up for an 8th end that's going to be tight.
That timeout was probably really great for them. I would assume they got a lecture that said, make this one count, boys, because they seem to just have a complete mood change. They seem happier.
Yeah, they do. More
and
relaxed.
More relaxed.
This is Andy Geiger's first throw.
And once again, it's going to be all about who can adjust to this ice. Who can make the weight adjustments, line adjustments, and
Okay,
read
they're
it.
letting it go.
And he's going to get a little tick.
Well, they're still line 3.
It's not the end of the world. There's stuff they can do, but
Maybe 2.
they definitely needed that draw. Marshfield is setting up for a big end, so we'll see how that continues.
Well, those two in red that's kind of a toss-up from here as to whether.
I think yellow has it right now. And let's see, I would believe they're going to call a guard on that red to prevent the raise. That's what I would do right here.
Okay, this is Hunter weak with the release.
And they need to let it come back in. And it looks like it's about to start breaking right now. You see him staying back to watch the line. They just don't want to push that red in.
Well,
they're going to get a little bit, but not enough to make a huge difference.
No. It actually helped as a guard.
Yep. So Wausau East right now is checking out his options. Let's see. He might have a slight port for that raise, but that's a stretch. Right now he's pointing at that front yellow guard. He's talking about blowing. He could be doing that so that they can't do it. He's pointing to both. Okay, he just pointed out an angled raise, a double angled raise take where he would have to hit that front yellow on the side into the side of the red into the nose of the yellow. This is by far the most aggressive shot I have seen them call all day.
I was just going to say, Allie, your description of that shot, by the time you're done with the description, you forget what the first part was.
So it looks like they're going to move something here.
Yeah, they're going to have something happen.
And it almost happened for them. They almost got a chip by accident, but that may have actually been worse.
Yeah.
Marshfield looks like they're now sitting 4.
Yeah, they look like they're sitting 4. They really do.
As you get to the skip shots, Marshfield's in a good position to raise something of their own. But they're going to have to keep their heads in it because they've had a couple instances today that they have raised the other team's stones in.
Well, they did that in number 3 and 3.
Yep, so they want to make sure that they don't do that. This is a big end for them. They could potentially take the lead going into the 8th. They've had a night and day change in the way they've been curling since that second timeout.
This is Hunter, weak.
This will be the test to see if they'll have the comeback to be state champions. And it looks like it's gonna place pretty close to where he wanted it. He would have liked it a little bit further out, but I don't think he's that upset about where it landed. It makes the draw, it forces you to draw pretty far out. Let's see.
Well, East has to look at the options now on the...
East is looking at the options. The skip is down on the other end with the front end. I'm not sure. He did call the draw. This is a big shot. He needs to take a deep breath, and the sweepers really need to be on their game. It looks like it had a slight pull up on his release. So depending on weight. And it looks like it might actually work out okay for the Lumberjacks. Nope, they peeled the guard.
No.
So right now, Marshfield is sitting 4 with the hammer. And we will see how this goes. This is a game-changing end.
Yeah, it is. East has a 3-point lead.
Going into the 7th. And we have Marshfield sitting 4 right now. They still have their 2 skip rocks left, and East has 1 left. East looks stressed right now. This is by far the most stressed they've looked this whole game.
They sure do. They're talking about it right now.
They've got to wait and see what Marshfield's going to throw. But they're not going to have a lot of nice options. And it's coming in, and they're sweeping it. This might roll more than they would have liked. It leaves an opening.
There is a port there now.
There is more of a port than there was before. So, and Wausau East is talking about the raise, actually. They want to raise that front red one, it looks like, through the port of those 2 yellows into their red, into the 8-foot. That's risky when they have a draw open on that side, and it looks like their third is going to make the decision to do the draw. That's by far the safer option.
I thought, okay, guys, you're up by 3.
Yeah. Try and outcount at least 1 right now. He's going to have to watch his port.
Limit the damage.
And ride that black line. Right now, it looks a little wide, so it's going to have to come in. You see them doing the swing. It is coming in. I'm not sure it's going to come in quite enough, and we're going to tick off of that, but they're going to sweep that, and that is a game changer right there.
Wow.
That is what you call a lucky shot.
Yeah,
and
I would say so.
That just kept East's chances alive right here. It's not first count, but it's definitely second.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what's going on here. East kicked their stone, so it's a matter of the Marshfield third, or skip, gets to put it back where he thought it was.
Okay.
And it's up to his discretion. I mean, obviously it's within the spirit of curling.
Yeah.
It's where you think it's last place. And there's really nothing you can do. He was just so excited, I think, that got there. That, I would say, outcounted at least 1, maybe 2. But it was...
I think they're laying 2.
I think you're right. And that makes the 8th end a lot tougher, but it would keep things alive for East still.
Yeah.
And it would give Marshfield a good fighting chance. It's very doable to steal 2 in an end. But regardless, they're going to have to steal in the 8th to win this. I don't think they have the 4 anymore. So while they were sitting 4, they could have easily walked away with this. But that last East shot screwed up.
What are they going to decide to do? They're going to play it safe?
They're going to draw out here and hope to not push stuff in. And this looks like it might be a little heavy. They're going to try. And yep, it's going through. East is going to sweep it.
Okay. So it's 2 or 3.
And must have been, I don't know how many that was. And there's some conversation out here about the removal of the stone, or the place back of it. Some Wausau fans think it was put back a little too far.
But what did they do, give them 3?
It must have been.
Okay.
It was 3.
Okay, we're tied.
This is crazy. They are tied, headed into the 8th. Wausau East with the hammer. That was basically exactly what Wausau East did not want to do. Marshfield came swinging out of that timeout. Their whole demeanor changed. They seemed way calmer. They seemed to be having fun with each other. And they started curling very well.
Okay. The state championship on the line here, 8th end. East with the hammer. Marshfield's Paul Fisher with the lead stone.
And he called a nice center guard here, which is what he's going to get.
Okay.
And Wausau East is going to call, it looks like they're calling the draw behind once again.
Okay, they post a score up on the screen for us now, all even.
This is really quite the championship
Yeah,
game.
it is.
Tied going into the 8th.
Yeah.
This is how it should be.
Yep.
No
Marshfield looking for their first ever championship. East, the last one in 2007, state champions.
East is sweeping really hard. They want to get it on. It's not quite there.
Nope. Nope.
Here we go. Marshfield's going to try and put it on 2. They're going to have the same strategy right here because they're both fighting for the same goal.
This is Paul Fisher's second throw now.
This is going to be basically a matter of who makes this draw better first and how many guards it has to stick behind. I would not be shocked if one of the leads plopped one right on the forefoot and the rest of the game was spent trying to. And this looks light as well. But he is going to make it. That's just snuck around the guard. It's going to go further back than he would have liked. But it was a good draw.
Okay, Ben Bloom, Wausau East. His second shot coming up.
And let's see, Wausau East is trying to come in with the same exact thing. They want to be more in front, but now they have the backing of that Marshfield stone. So that's nice for them. And they're going to make some contact, so that's going to be really nice for them.
Okay.
Right now, they're playing a stack game. This is right where Wausau East took a lot of pressure, or put on a lot of pressure earlier, so we'll see if Marshfield keeps up with them.
This is Brantley Northrup, first toss for the Tigers.
This is quite the championship game. You can tell both teams really want it.
And they're both playing like champions.
They are.
They're adjusting.
They are all
coming
playing very
back.
well.
They're staying with it. They're
There's
not
nothing like tied going into the 8th.
right.
And they're going to try and hold this line once more, and he is going to get around that guard as well. We'll see. It's a little light, so not quite as deep as they had hoped.
Nope, not quite.
It will be interesting to see how Wausau East is now going to call a guard because they know they have the count. They are going to just try and block it and pray that nothing else happens to move it. This is kind of gutsy because if something does do it, then they're stuck behind guards. But they do have the hammer, so they're going to take that.
This is Evans.
They're going to call a guard.
First toss. He lines it up.
And he's going to be far better off throwing light on this than he is heavy. And it looks like he came way lighter than his previous shots.
Yeah, they're letting it
They're
do its
letting
thing.
it curl. You can see the skip has his hand up saying no sweep. They need it to stay up, and it looks like this is going to be a good guard. They don't want to knock this in. Wow.
Oh, okay. They still have the one.
I'm not sure they have the one. It's got to be really close between the back and the front. Both of them are about halfway into the 4-foot, and it's still a measure right now.
Yeah, the angles are such different angles from above and from.
And right now, Marshfield's going to call the stack, just like Wausau East. They're at an advantage this end, though, because unlike the last end, their rocks are in front of the red ones, which means a jam.
Okay. Second throw for Northrup, Brantley.
And he's hoping to do the same thing as his last one. He came in just a little light, and they're sweeping very hard. They got on it right away, and now they're going to let it curl a little bit. They need it to bump theirs in. They just want to avoid a split out. So that was a great shot for Marshfield.
Wow. Okay, now they've got the.
They've plugged one in on the 1 foot, covered about halfway behind the guard, and just made Wausau East's job way harder. There's definitely a wide double there, but they've been throwing draws this whole game, so this is going to be hard for East. They also can keep in mind their front guard could tap back, but
Here's Evan's second throw.
they're attempting the double right now, and they're sweeping it for line. And it looks like they're going to hit
It's heavy.
on the inside of that one.
Oh, now they've got two.
So now Marshfield is sitting 2 in the 4-foot, one in the 4-foot, one halfway into the button. And that was not a good shot for Wausau East. Right now, Marshfield is way out front. Their skip is looking at it from the hog line to see where they need to guard. They're in a great spot right now. You can see the third letting out a smile. He thinks they have it. And the skip is just trying to figure out where to best place that guard. They want to keep it very high so that it's hard for Wausau East to get around. The further back it is, the easier it is to get around.
So Hunter weak. They can really, really put pressure on East now with this rock.
This would be...
If they get that guard where they want it?
Yep. It would make Wausau East shots very difficult. And you can see the Wausau East third sitting in the back looking kind of stressed. That looks like it's maybe a little bit more heavy than they would have liked. And they're letting it settle in. Now they're going to sweep it and try and bring it right up on this red rock. That guard was not where they had wanted it, but it still works out because it's not going to do a whole lot to hurt them.
Marshfield looking for their first championship ever. And these state tournaments started back in like 1959.
Yep, Marshfield right now, you can definitely tell they're curling like it's their last game, which it is.
And they're all seniors.
Yep, so they want it.
Andy Geiger now.
And if you were here, you could see the skip for Wausau East put his hand over his head. He's nervous about this one. It's going to hit in. And
well, look at that. Now that's still one.
Not quite enough, but that was a great hit for morale for Wausau East. It did shoot one of theirs out.
Okay, so now they're down. The 1 point belongs to Marshfield.
They are. It's whoever takes this point. Marshfield right now needs that guard. Because the Wausau East team replaced the guard they raised just again. So now they're trying to guard that guard. This is going to be a close one.
This is Hunter with his second toss. He's the third.
He wants
Also the
it
skip.
high. And that looks hot again to me. They're just watching it go. They need it to flick in. And it's not coming in like they wanted. He shot very wide on his delivery, but it did come in a little bit. It's not the worst, but not exactly what he had wanted. Wausau East still has a shot at that. They're gonna come straight down the middle, it looks like, is what their skip just kind of pulled his broom at. So he wants, once again, a double angled raise take.
And this is Andy Geiger.
So they're not sweeping. It's hanging on that line. It's shooting wide. So it's not gonna do much of anything except for peel that guard, which actually isn't the end of the world for them. I bet they're feeling good that they have the hammer in this situation. But Marshfield is going to need to place one heck of a guard. That red up front is probably the shot. It would be, once again, be the tap back of the red into the yellow for the win. So right now, the Marshfield skip is adamantly smacking his broom down that the guard needs to be right in front of it.
Can you believe it? The state championship, and right now it's about a 2-inch difference between a point. But that could change in the next couple.
Both of these teams have fought so hard to get here. I'm not shocked that it's this close. They've both been curling excellent, and for goodness sakes, they're both in the button right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is a little heavier than they would have liked. And it's just gonna blaze wide, which is probably...
Okay, this is it.
It's something.
Yeah, this is it.
This will be the Wausau East skip's first stone. So there's 3 rocks left in this game.
Yeah.
And they're gonna try the raise right now. If you look at the front row of the back, you can see Wausau East alumni sitting there shaking.
Yeah.
It's a nervous crowd. You can just see all the Wausau people.
Well, Andy's made the decision, and Will's going along with it. Will Reike.
This is the only decision there is. You need to hit that at a slight angle. And they're sweeping it for line. And
it's coming.
Crossed.
Certainly heavy enough.
They're not even, they're gonna, that's not gonna do much. They'll still have another shot at it depending on where this last Marshfield stone goes.
Okay, it's right down to the last throwing out for Marshfield. They have the point.
It's gonna go down to the last stone.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And
you know, and these boys are making memories for a lifetime right now.
oh,
They are.
You're not.
They
You're
are.
not wrong. I think it's safe to say that neither of these teams would have been the expected teams to come in this championship game.
Yeah, they can spend a lifetime remembering it and eventually embellish a little bit.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, whether they win or lose.
Yeah. Either way, they had a lot of upsets to get here.
Oh, yeah.
That looks very heavy for what he was calling.
Well, depends
He
on the
might
angle.
make this shot for Wausau East.
Well,
He didn't.
no, he didn't.
But that leaves an open take. So this is going to be very, very
there
close.
It is. Right there it is. Wow.
It's going to be very
Timeout,
close.
right?
Yep, they're calling.
Timeout.
Wausau East is calling their final timeout.
Yeah.
Their skip looks a little stressed. This is the last shot of the state tournament. The girls are already off. They're all alone on all 8 sheets. It's weird quiet out there. Like I've been the last team out there. It's weird. And like.
Here comes the coach.
And you see Marshfield just clasping their hands, praying that they've done enough. They're in, but they've left a wide take. This is going to be a matter of if Wausau East can put the broom down in the right spot, their skip can hit the broom, and if their sweepers can sweep it there.
You couldn't have a better finish, could you, Allie?
You couldn't. This is a crazy championship game. When I said it was going to be close, I really didn't think this close.
Well, they're coming in at 5-5, so they're going to have a winner, and it's going to come off of this stone.
It will. There's going to be a winner regardless. If you look at the outside shots that aren't touching the 1 foot right now, Wausau East has the 3rd count. Not that it matters, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stones in play right now just in the house. And 2, 3 guards up front. So they have done an excellent job, both teams, with this strategy in the last end. And Wausau East looks like they're doing a cheer. They're smiling.
Okay.
And it pans to the Wausau East crowd looks very nervous.
Sometimes it's being a spectator, you're kind of helpless.
They're all holding hands.
Because you can't do anything about it.
You can't do anything. This is hard to even watch.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. Wow.
He's sliding back. He's taking deep breaths. He's probably going to need to take a few more, too. Not going to lie. This is going to be the shot of probably his whole curling career.
Right. Will Reike, the skip. Here it is.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Will. You're doing the best you can.
And let's see. It's looking good right now. It's a little wide. It's outside the line, and I'm not sure it's coming.
No, it's going to have to.
And Marshfield won it. That was a great attempt by Wausau East. That was by far the best game. One of the best games I've seen this whole tournament. The only other one that was that close I think I played in. So this one felt good to watch.
You know what? That was as good as it gets.
That was how a championship game should be. They curled phenomenally. I feel super happy for those seniors. I know how hard it is to like have one last game. So that's awesome that they can step off as state champs.
Well, the other thing now, they're all seniors. This is their very, very first state championship in high school curling for the boys team.
And they came down from 3 in the 6th, so they had a great game.
They came down. They were down 5-2 after 6, and they outscored East 4-0 to win it. So credit to them, credit to Wausau East. They came seated 13th, and they ended up 1 point from the championship.
Yeah, Wausau East came in seated 13th, so the sheer factor that they were there was insane. Marshfield even came seated in, I think, 7th, so they had quite the run at it too, and it was such a good game. I'm really happy that the seniors got that last one. It was down to the last rock. That was a great game.
Well, Marshfield is the state champion for the boys. I know the girls' competition is over. I don't know if we have a winner or not.
I think Spash took it home again.
Spash, I think they did too. They defended their title, so that's 2 years in a row now for the Spash girls as champions. For the Wisconsin Prep or High School Curling Championship, we have the winners. It's Marshfield for the boys, Spash for the girls. It's been a great tournament.
It's been great.
Great organization, wonderful attendance, a lot of close, great games all the way through to the final, last stone for the boys. And for Allie Cotton, I'm George Hirsch. Hope you enjoyed our broadcast of curling on Wausau Area Access Media. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. Until next time we get together, take care.